Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Ryden. When the Dodgers won the World Series this year, most Dodger haters chalked it up to that team's seemingly endless supply of cash. Buy the players you need, like three former MVPs at the top of the lineup, and success is sure to follow. But money doesn't always buy excellence. That definitely doesn't buy perfection. That is a myth. And our guest, Mark Vancil, has delved into the secrets of success behind current and past legends in his latest book, The Last Excellent Man, The Meaning of Our Jordan Year. Welcome, Mark. Glad you could join us
Thank
today.
you.
Hey, you bring up his airness in the title. So, what exactly, how would you describe a Jordan year? What is that?
So it was something my daughter came up with. It was her 23rd birthday, and she said, "Hey, Dad, it's my Jordan year." And I said, "Why?" And then it dawned on me, and she said,
23. Yeah.
"Yeah." I said, "I've never heard that before." She goes, "Oh my God, everyone, their 23rd birthday is their Jordan year." And the fact that I didn't that I didn't know about that, she thought was quite humorous.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, so that's the play. And in 2023, for the other work I do, which is inferential work for big financial firms, was really a sort of a line of demarcation between what came before and what's coming after. And we could talk about that if you want, but the Jordan part of it and excellence is really what how I got into it, what I was thinking about.
Well, yeah, you've been called Jordan's Boswell, referring to 18th century James Boswell, the biographer. How did that come about? Right place, right time? You were working at the Chicago Sun-Times during the 80s.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, I was at the Sun Times, and the NBA was not what then was not what the NBA is now.
That's for sure.
In fact, the guy that was on the beat wanted off desperately, and Rupert Murdoch actually played a role in me getting it because he bought the Sun Times.
Hmm.
And as Mike Royko, the famous Chicago columnist and iconic writer, said, no self-respecting fish would be wrapped in a Murdoch newspaper. So he left, and there was a big shuffle, and I literally took over the day Jordan arrived,
Yeah.
and neither one of it. Well, I shouldn't say neither one of us. I didn't know what I was doing, but he certainly did.
Yeah. Well, this isn't a book about Michael Jordan, but it is a book about what sets greats apart from the rest of us, the Taylor Swifts, the Mario Andretti's, the Steve Jobs of the world. What trait do truly successful people have in common?
I think the defining trait, and it's interesting you use the right word because it's not a skill, it's not a gift, but the trait is that they live naturally in the moment. They're not a beat behind, they're not a beat ahead. They're right there all the time. And there's one I could tell you one story about Jordan that helped me think through this. This was right before he hits the shot to win the sixth title in Utah.
Mhm.
Um, and it was the day before. I'm in this big palatial suite. There's a great grand piano that he'd be playing the next night, and a bunch of people, famous people playing cards at the table. And we had to, I needed him to finish up a part of the book, a book we were doing. And so I kept asking the question, you know, it's timeout. Yeah, there's a timeout. You're down by 2 points. You're down by a point. Timeout, 5 seconds to go. What's going through your mind? And I asked it over and over and
Mhm.
every way. And as you know, every way that we've been trained to ask a question to make it not sound like it's the same question. And finally, he was leaning back in this big couch, and he comes up and gets close to me and says, "Are you asking me, am I thinking about missing the shot?" And I said, "For sure. It's not only asking me about missing the shot, but you already think you're going to get the ball. Um, but it's a kill be situation. What are you thinking?" And he said, "Well, I'm not thinking. Why would I think about missing a shot I haven't taken yet?"
Right.
And I
Always.
just thought, well, that's it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And when you look at, and I spent a lot of time, I've had the great as you have, great fortune to spend a lot of time with some really extraordinary people, across a wide expanse. And they never get tired, or they don't appear to get tired.
Mm.
And B, they are never anywhere but in the moment. And that, as we know, I mean, there's Buddhists on the other side of the world sitting in ashrams trying to get to that place. And I think if you want to talk about a natural ability, I think the people who are true icons, that is what makes them so. We're drawn to them like moths to a light.
Yeah.
It's the animating force that is so attractive.
Yeah. You could probably present an argument to say that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, but you say also that the ongoing discussion we seem to have about the GOAT, whether it's Tom Brady or LeBron James, really needs some context. What do you mean by that?
Well, there's more than just the numbers, as evidenced by LeBron James. Lots of numbers, 20
Sure.
years. But you have to show up and you have to be there. And the criticality of authenticity, humility, joy, enthusiasm, all these guys share parts of that. But Jordan showed up every single night. In the 11 full seasons he played for the Bulls, he averaged over 81 games a season. Now, to
Man.
put that in context, LeBron James has played 20, 22, I can't remember how many years he's played. He's done it once. And Jordan played all 82 games 8 times in those 11 years, never missed a playoff minute. Um, and the performance was self-evident. So there's more to it. The what is what we all know. The points, the trophies, the championships. It's the how. It's the grace, it's the elegance, it's again the humility. Um, and he's never been a victim. He never complained about bad contracts that he signed. And all these people are the same. Andretti won the Daytona 500, and after the race, which is amazing for a guy for a guy that did not race stock cars.
Yeah.
Got on a plane and went to a track somewhere and raced the next day. It was just, it was literally the love of the game. And you
Yeah.
see it with Taylor Swift. I mean, her the Eras tour, three-hour performances. It didn't matter if it rained, if it was windy, if it was cold. It looked like she was enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for their focus too. You talk about Mario Andretti being able to find his wife. What was that? He's driving at 180 miles an hour, and he can spot his wife in the stands.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy. We walked on the Indy 500 track, and we were about I don't know 200 yards from the first turn, and he's a very quiet guy, and he just turns and says, "From right here, you have 0.02 seconds to make a decision." And the idea that, first of all, that's absurd, for the rest of us,
Yeah.
but that it was so nonchalant, like, you know, it was actually possible to him.
Good grief.
Um,
Well,
yeah, I mean, like you said, he was at 24 hours of Sebring, and driving a Ferrari that year. And I said, how do you stay awake? What are you doing? He goes, I look for my wife. I look for friends on the infield. Like, how do you do that? At 180 miles an hour, I'd be looking not to, run into a wall.
I think one of the most fascinating things about your book is the inside glimpse readers will get at a time when newspapers were really in their heyday and the NBA was just coming up. For lack of a better term, you drop a lot of names in there and how fascinating. Well, and people love to hear about that. How does all of that play into your book?
It was, I kind of think about it, and actually both of us in a way, but especially in the newspaper side, that was the golden era.
Yeah,
You spent a lot of time around these guys. And when I first started covering the Bulls, and we took commercial airplanes, and the league required that you take the first flight out in the morning
I
because
remember that.
If you were late, it was $50,000, which, these guys have in their pocket these days. But to the teams back then, that was a meaningful sum. And so you saw who didn't show up. You saw how they showed up. Um, and it was just you got to know them in a different way. And it was great. I mean, I tell the story, and imagine this today. This is the playoffs, and the Bulls are playing at Boston. Boston goes on to win the title. And this is the first round. They're going to get killed. And we're at practice. Jordan had gotten 49 on the Friday night game, and the Bulls lost. It was competitive.
Mhm.
Saturday, we're at practice. Both teams are there, by the way. That's another thing that's odd. Now it's completely separated, and the reporters could sit on the sideline and watch practice. And a friend of mine at the Boston Herald came over and said, "Hey, Danny Ainge wants to know if you and Michael want to play golf with us this afternoon." And I said, "Well, I'll ask him." And he said, "Yes." Now imagine that,
No, I can't.
right? And it was the whole thing was so we're taking Danny home and dropping him off. Wonderful guy, by the way,
Oh, yeah.
dropping him off at his house. And Michael very casually says, "Hey, tell your boy Dennis Johnson I got something for him tomorrow." And we all laughed because Dennis Johnson was a great defense Hall of Fame
Yeah.
player,
Yeah.
great defensive player. And Jordan got 63 in double overtime and the next night and next day. And it might have been as spectacular as any performance he ever had.
Hmm.
But again, the granularity of that experience you don't get today. At
No.
least not reporters, at least not newspaper reporters.
I can't even imagine it. I've been out of, that end of it for so long. I can't even imagine if they dropped me back in there, it would be like a whole different world. In chapter 5, you write about something very interesting, something I've thought about a lot. You write about that we as a society are so quick to attack what we once cheered. Boy, that is so true about how you lift somebody up and then you want to bring them back down. Why is that?
I refer to it as our cultural Achilles heel. And I don't know why that is. I think there's a time if someone's been around for a long time, and I think it's just human, it's a very human response. You
Yeah.
get bored by this person. We see him every day. You talk about him, how great he is, how et cetera, et cetera. And then it's like, well, let's see if we can peel back the onion a little bit.
Mhm.
And Michael went through that. Everyone does.
Sure.
And it's unfortunate. But these people don't think of it that way. They don't obsess about it. It doesn't bother them in the way you and I
Hmm.
might be bothered by that. That natural human instinct to feel like it's not fair, or default into victimhood. These people don't do that.
Yeah.
True icons are different from us in many ways, and that's one of them.
Yeah, and they don't read their press clippings. They don't read stories about them. They don't read criticism about them. They just do their job.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
hope?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I was just going to say, what do you hope readers get out of the book? They open this thing up. What's going to be the thing that you really want them to take with them?
There's a couple of things. First of all, the essence of excellence at its base, it's a choice because it's an arduous road. And it doesn't matter who you are or what you do in the pursuit of excellence. There are plateaus as you rise. And it's the plateau that usually eventually separates the great player from the good player from the icon.
Mm.
Because you have no ability and no to see whether you're ever going to get to the next plateau. Are you stuck here? Is this it? Is this the best you're going to be? And it's this relentless drive to keep chipping away and all of the old sayings that people use, but it's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember, when Jordan was a superstar, and the team still wasn't that good. And all of the critics were, well, teams never won a title with a player who led the league in scoring. Absolutely true
Yeah.
until him. But it took, you know, an incredible amount of guile and hard work to
Yeah.
keep going.
Well, the name of the book is The Last Excellent Man, The Meaning of Our Jordan Year, and it's a fascinating look at the nature of success, available on Amazon, and I'm sure it's available wherever you can find books, right? I mean,
Sure.
this is a book that's going to be well received, I'm sure. Hey, Mark, thanks a million for your time. I was really looking forward to talking with you, and I'm glad we got a chance to kind of connect.
Yeah, very much my pleasure. Thank you so much.
You bet. And thank you, folks, for spending a few minutes with us on the Global Book Network. I'm Paul Ryden. We'll see you next time.